Congressman Thornberry, I'm sorry. You were supposed to be able to go first on your bill. My bad. I just did the wrong thing. Recognize you now if you want to introduce your bill. Late. Sorry.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you and the committee holding a hearing on this and giving me a chance to visit with you about it. Just to amplify a little bit about the history, anytime the story starts out when President Thomas Jefferson made the Louisiana Purchase from Napoleon Bonaparte, you know that it's an interesting story, but that is exactly where this goes back to. In the Louisiana Purchase, the United States bought not only the Louisiana Territory, but the riverbed went to the United States. And that was confirmed in treaties with the United States and Spain, the United States and Mexico, the United States and the Republic of Texas, that the boundary of Texas is the south bank of the Red River. Now, in the mid-1800s, there was an Indian reservation that was established in a portion of that area, but defining exactly where the South Bank is was considered a challenge. So in the 1920s, the Supreme Court says basically it's the South Gradient Bank, and they have a definition of what that means. The problem is the gradient bank required a survey to figure out where it was, and this boundary goes for 539 miles. That's how long the river goes between Texas and Oklahoma, forming that boundary. So you would have to survey the whole 539 miles. The second problem is it changes all the time. And as you know, as the river changes, the boundary changes. So Texas and Oklahoma negotiated an agreement in 1999, and I was the sponsor of the bill that came to Congress that was ratified by federal law, signed into law by President Clinton in 2000, that said we're not going to use the gradient boundary, we're going to use the vegetation line because everybody can see it. And as it moves, then you know where it is. It's much easier to deal with. And so that is the current law as we have it. Now, just a side note, there was a local court case that was decided wrongly before the Red River Compact was established, and I think that the owner and the BLM are in discussions on how to rectify that situation, and I hope they do. But the bottom line is everything was going along pretty well until last year the BLM announced that they were going to update their management plan for several states, including this area. They probably did not use the best communication. They said 90,000 acres they may be owned by the federal government. That sets off a panic. When you compound it with the situation out in Nevada, you had all sorts of folks who were up in arms about a federal land grab. And so what the status is today is that private landowners cannot borrow money on their land because the title is clouded. They do not make improvements on the land. They can't sell their land because there is all this concern that the federal government is going to come in and make a claim on some portion of these acres. BLM has now said it's not really 90, it may be 30, but the point is the title is clouded. And I will say, I represent 7 counties along this 500-mile border. It's not just in the 3 at stake here that there's a cloud. People up and down the river are panicked about whether their ownership rights will be protected. BLM says it's going to take till 2018 to figure out their management plan. So if you're an owner along the river, you've got at best between 2018 where you can't sell, you can't borrow, you can't improve your land. That's the status today. So my bill tries to solve that and say if you can prove in the county records of either state that you own the land, if you've been paying taxes, BLM's got to recognize that ownership interest and put it to rest. Just 2 brief comments. The only thing I'm trying to do is settle the land in Texas, south of the gradient vegetation line. There are issues that BLM has to deal with the tribes and so forth, north of that vegetation line. And it's complicated, but I'm only dealing with the area south that's in Texas. Last point is we've already had a gun-related group come hold a rally in this area. There are some groups using this controversy to gain attention for themselves, who want to inflame the situation. The last thing the landowners, the counties, the states, or BLM needs is for people to come in and try to make a big deal out of this to make some political points. The sooner it gets solved for the landowners and for everybody else, the better. Yield back.